Good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. Now what have I got for you lovely people today? So we're going to have a go at these fishermen's huts at Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia, Canada. But before we do, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Jenna Rainey. Now, for those of you who don't know her, she's got a really fabulous watercolour channel. In fact, it was one of the first channels I looked at when I first thought about doing some YouTube videos. And link for her channel is in the description below. Now, a few weeks back, she did a video on her favourite watercolour channels of 2022. And she said some really lovely things about this channel and I was really chuffed. So have a look. The link for that video is down in the description. Now, if you haven't visited her channel, it is really worth a look. She's got a fantastic selection of work and her florals, I think, are second to none. So definitely worth a look. She also did the following week a video on smaller channels and channels who she thought needed a bit more support. And one of those was a channel by Paul Apps. Now he's someone who I've got to know recently, has got a fantastic watercolour channel, great landscapes, wildlife, definitely worth a look. And again, the link for his channel is below. Now I think all watercolour artists who do tutorials on YouTube agree that it is really a big community and we need to share the love, and I think Jenna showed that brilliantly in her video. Anyway, shall we... Sorry, someone at the door. 1 second. Hello, delivery for Paul Clark. Sign here, please. Oh, thank you, my good man. And here's £20 for your trouble. Thank you very much, sir. What's this? Whoa! My YouTube Silver 100,000 subscribers award. Now, the real reason for wanting to show you this is to thank you guys, to thank everybody who subscribed to my channel over the years, followed me, supported me, left comments. Really, it is a very heartfelt thank you very much to everyone. In fact, this is really for you guys. No, you can't have it, it's mine. Oh, who is it now? Oh, hello again.
Sorry mate, wrong address. It wasn't for you.
Yes, this is mine.
No, got to give it back. Hand it over, please. Come on, hand it over. No, it's mine. I said it's mine. No, give it back. I know. Ow. It's mine. Give it back. I'm gonna take it.
Let's get started, shall we? Okay, so here's the painting I did quite a few years ago, and I couldn't even remember where I got the reference from. Now, I wasn't even sure where it was, but after a fair bit of Googling, I discovered it was a couple of fishing huts at Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. Quite a popular spot for artists. So I managed to get this reference by visiting the location via Google Maps Street View and then just taking a screenshot. And my materials today, paper is some Bockingford rough on a block, and I've put the green masking tape around the edges just to give me a crisp white border at the end. 4 brushes from my range, a mop, 3/4 inch flat, number 12 round and a number 6 round, and my paints are cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, sap green, burnt umber, burnt sienna and some Payne's grey. So here is my pencil sketch, which as always is free to download from my website, link in the description below. It's not too difficult as most of the lines of the huts are parallel, so there's no real perspective issues to worry about. Off we go. Using my mop, I'm pre-wetting the whole sheet of paper. Then, with my flat brush, I'm painting in a watery mix of cobalt blue, increasing the value towards the bottom. Now I'm streaking in a few bands of alizarin crimson just to add a little bit of warmth. Now I could have used some masking fluid to preserve the white, but sometimes when you have big shapes like these huts, it's easier to just simply lift out with a tissue. Now while the paper is still damp, I'm using a much creamier mix of cobalt blue with just a touch of alizarin crimson to paint in these ripples. Just make sure that they are slightly thinner towards the distance. And here is some sap green. Now I usually like to mix my greens, but I wanted to try this colour out, and I've mixed it in with a little burnt sienna still into the damp paper. Now let this totally dry, then with my number 12 brush I'm laying it flat to create some of these dry brush textures, still with the same cobalt blue alizarin crimson mix. Now for this distant headland, it's a fairly wet 50-50 mix of cobalt blue and alizarin crimson again. Next, for the grassy bank over here, I'm using some sap green again and dropping in wet some burnt sienna, leaving the white gaps for the rocks. Carefully painting around the top of the boat, I'm using some yellow ochre, then dropping in along the bottom a touch of burnt umber. Now for these rocks, and I'm using a combination of Payne's Grey, some burnt umber and a little bit of burnt sienna, making sure the tops of the rocks are much lighter than the bottom shadow side. Okay, so now for the huts, and this is some fairly watery yellow ochre, but I'm dropping in to the wet some cobalt blue and a little bit of burnt umber. And I'm also lifting out with a dry brush a few lighter areas, still using my number 12. Now you know I always say try to keep the brush strokes to a minimum. It will always make the washes look much more fresh and help to keep the transparency. Overworking with many repeated strokes will just muddy the paint. Okay, so now it's time to let this totally dry. So it's a perfect time for a short break, and as it's 10:30 in the morning, a nice cuppa with a chocolate hobnob. Okay, maybe half a packet. Next for the roofs, and this is just some burnt umber with some burnt sienna dropped in to create a little bit more drama. So as you can see from the original photo reference, I'm changing the colours of the huts quite a bit just to make them a little bit more interesting. Now using my number 6 round brush, and I'm using the same colour to add in a little more detail into these rocks. and a little splattering, of course. Now for the shadow side of these huts, I'm using a purplish colour by adding in some alizarin crimson into some Payne's grey in a nice milky consistency. Same colour here for the shadow details on these boats. Just a touch of alizarin crimson here. Now to get the soft reflection under these boats, I'm re-wetting the paper directly below, then dropping in corresponding colours, and then lifting the board almost vertically to let the paint run down. Now I'm beginning to build up the details and bring the painting together. And this is some Payne's grey. And again, I'm trying to pick up some dry brush texture by moving my brush quickly across the surface of the paper. Now let this totally dry, then with a damp tissue I'm slightly softening and blending a few of these hard edges. Next is the same watery transparent burnt umber and sap green. little cobalt blue ripple details. Finally, I'm taking some white gouache direct from the tube and just putting in a few little white highlights and details.
I want the wind to carry me far away from here, and as I fly, I'll take with me moments left behind. I want the sea to rescue me and carry me away. And let the waves wash over me. Listen for the voices of the tide.
There we go, I think we're all done.
Swiftly they pass by, with each new breath, new roads ahead, embracing every moment as my guide.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. Just relax, make it your own, and as always, enjoy the experience. So, before we go, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. What's the next milestone? Gold Award, 1 million subscribers. Don't think we're going to reach that, are we? Never mind. Thanks again, everyone, for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. So take care. Bye for now. Those nasty obbities want to take my precious. They can't have my precious.